Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome viewers to another episode of Pathways to Prosperity, where we're discussing different things in respect of finance. And during the past month of August, focusing on women, we've been joined by our special guest, Shaykha Umme Roomaan Soofie, discussing different elements of women in Islam, but under that category of finance. And tonight, I want to get into a topic with our guest around what is the financial responsibility of women in a marriage. And we often hear about the roles and responsibilities that a man must take, and the woman is his responsibility. And we heard during the session on inheritance, that's why he gets 2/3. So we're going to unpack what then does the woman do. And Shaykha, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's start off by again just clarifying we've got this relationship of marriage, and I think it's an important topic for us to discuss, because today you've got the manner in which society has evolved, specifically from an economic perspective, is many households require both man and woman, or husband and wife, to work, sometimes just to get by, in other instances so they can afford some luxuries, different setups depending on what your circumstances. So let's start off by clarifying what the role of the husband is from a financial perspective.
Okay, Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So this topic might be received with some kind of contention, maybe, right? And that could be from one side or from both sides. And this is speaking from personal experience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man and woman to live harmoniously, right? To aid each other, to aid each other's deen. And very recently I heard a sheikh say something and it stuck with me. He says, when we are comparing between the roles and responsibilities of the husband and the wife, we find that they are equal in number except one.
Okay.
There is just one particular role which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly mentions in the Quran al-Kareem, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. So that level of qawwama is something that is integral to the success of any institute, whether it's the institution of marriage or whether it's within a country or a government. There has to be one leader.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise there's havoc, there's chaos. Right? So that particular role of a man is the protector, the leader, in whatever capacity he is able to be the man, if you would look at the understanding of a man in a marriage, right? As for the other responsibilities, yes, according to laws of fiqh, the man is the provider.
Okay.
Right? He's the one who goes out and earns. The woman is the caregiver.
Okay.
This is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings. A man is strong and therefore he goes out and he works. A woman is compassionate and therefore she's the caregiver. But like you mentioned, in today's society, one income cannot support a household, right? So should we then hang on to that particular role, that the man is the one who brings in the money to the household and the woman does not need to contribute at all? Or should we look at the maqsad, right? Maqasidu Shari'ah is something that's, it's profound, right? We look at how human beings or husband and wife exist in a marriage. They exist to aid each other. They have one goal, and that goal is to support the household, to comfort each other, to ensure that proper upbringing of their children, right? So if a wife is bringing to the table, the husband should acknowledge that, look, it's necessary for her to go out and bring that money. But at the same time, he should also play a greater role in other aspects of the household.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be balance. And that's what Islam is all about. It's about balance.
Okay, but now let's add some complexity, right? So let's take the situation where, okay, husband and wife married, and given the scenario, husband's income is unable to support all of the expenses of the household, which now necessitates the wife to go and work. So the wife now contributes. So technically, from a fiqh perspective, it's the husband's role and the husband's responsibility to maintain the wife and the children and the matrimonial home. Now you have this woman that's going out of necessity to contribute. And I've heard it many times in society, just either in passing or informal disputes, either through a talaq process or a general discussion where there's a rift between husband and wife, where the wife will make the statement and say, yeah, but I didn't have to do that. So now you owe me the money. Or what's the fiqh standing? So if a wife does go out and work and contributes to the house, what's the standing now? Does the husband owe her that money back? Is she giving it as out of the goodness of her heart? Does she give it into the marriage as a loan? What's the status of that relationship? Agreed, it's reaching harmony in order for the husband and wife and family to live together. But now, in the event of dispute, what's the technical standing?
Well, there was agreement between the husband and wife.
Okay.
Right? So we can say this is mutual agreement, unless she particularly stipulated this is a loan.
Okay.
Right? And this is why spirituality and understanding deen is so important. It plays a huge role in the way we interact, in the way we live our lives, right? Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Khayrukum khayrukum li ahli." The best of you is the best to his family.
But that's applicable to men and women.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's why I'm bringing this particular hadith in. People tend to associate that hadith with man, with the man only, that he has to be good to his wife, he has to be good to his children. But is it not also the responsibility of a woman to show compassion and goodness in her household? Right? Islam encourages benevolence. This is why we have Qard Hasan, right? You loaning money to a stranger, right? And you don't ask for anything in return. This is not a stranger. This is your home.
Yeah.
This is you have a shared responsibility to that home, right? If it had been agreed between the two of them, and this is why I had mentioned earlier that it is for the husband to acknowledge. I acknowledge this is my responsibility. But given the circumstance of the economic world that we're living in, it's not that easy to just go out and get a job, right?
Yeah.
And once you get the job, there's multiple elements. It's the level of expertise, it's the years of experience, it's the qualification, and then you're placed in a certain band, and then you can only earn a certain amount of income, and that's not enough to support the household. So what I am saying is that a woman should then be benevolent. She should be compassionate, and not look only at this is not my duty.
Yeah.
Is it your duty? Is it not your duty? Is it not your household? Is it not your home? Right?
So for clarity there, let me say it in this way. There's nothing in the Sharia that says a woman cannot contribute to the household. Although the default position is that the man must be the primary source of financial support to the household, nothing denies the woman the right or the willingness out of the goodness of her heart to contribute. Is that correct?
And nothing also says that a husband should not look after his children.
No, agreed. No,
right. So the point I'm trying to make is
Yeah.
that these particular rules are there to maintain a healthy household.
Yes.
They are guides.
Yeah.
They are guides. And Islam or Sharia is all-encompassing. It's everlasting. Right? If we understand that, then we have to believe that the laws of deen are adaptable
Yeah.
to every society, to every circumstance, to every situation. Right? It's not the same as it was in the past. where it was very easy for the woman to stay at home because the role
Yeah.
of earning money of a husband was very simple. I mean, he would go out, he would work in the fields, or he would earn a living, and it was simple.
Yeah.
Today's society is so complex that it takes both partners to run the household. So maybe we shouldn't look at black and white, right? We should look at the maqsad. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stipulate that a man is in charge of the household? It was to ensure that the woman has financial rights, which didn't exist pre-Islam.
Previously. Yeah.
Right? So that was the maqsad, to protect the woman, to preserve her wealth, to say that if you earn money, it's your money.
Yeah.
Right? You have ownership of that money.
Got it. Okay. So now we know that all of these things are there and it's in its place, right? When you in your marriage and there's love and there's harmony and all of those things, then everything is fine. Nobody fights with anybody, right? And money generally doesn't come up. The wife is contributing, the husband's contributing, everybody's benefiting from it. It's all fine. Now a dispute occurs, and the questions then start coming up. Oh, I did this and you didn't do that, and I paid for this and you paid for that, and this is mine and this is yours. So this is common conversation within a talaq proceeding, right? So what is the rights of the woman? If she gives money, can she ask for it back? What are the guardrails that she needs to put in place? How do you navigate this? Because it's clear that the man must contribute as the financial provider, but it is sort of not so clear what must happen if she does contribute. I don't know if that makes sense.
So it's clear that the man should contribute, but it's not contractual.
Okay.
And when it comes to financial relationships, and a marriage is not a financial relationship,
Right.
which is what would then bring me to this point, is that if it is not a financial relationship, can you ask back for money that you had placed into
The matrimonial home.
the running of your home,
Right.
your home, unless it was very clearly stipulated by the wife that I am giving you X amount of money as a loan every month?
Yeah.
It's not a loan.
Okay, so what we're saying is, so I just want to clear it out, and this may be something that our women need to be very clear about, is that if she's contributing to the household, then she's not, and it can't be implicit that she's giving a loan to the household.
Correct.
It has to be explicit to
Correct.
say, I'm giving you this, it's not my role, it's not my right, it's not my responsibility, and so you owe me this money back
Correct.
at some point. Or if it's not mentioned, then she must know that it will be. Can the husband then just deem it as goodness of her heart contributing, or should the wife then feel inside of her heart that this
That
I'm
he
just
owes
going, that he owes me?
No, of course not. You cannot ask back for something that you contributed in a capacity of benevolence, sadaqah.
Yeah. Right.
And going back to the hadith, khayrukum li ahli.
Yeah.
You're doing goodness for your home, right? It automatically translates to sadaqah,
Okay.
unless it's stipulated that I am loaning you this amount of money and therefore you owe it back to me at whatever point.
Okay, so moral of the story is between husband and wife, unless it's clearly stipulated that the wife is lending this money to the home or lending this money to the husband, the wife must then adopt this, that I'm giving out of the goodness of my heart to the household, and she shouldn't ask it back. Cannot or shouldn't?
Both. I'd
Okay.
say both, right? If we were looking at, like you're saying, before talaq, everything is rosy and
Yeah.
we are living, a happy life. And so if you're living a happy life, then that was your contribution to your happy life,
Okay.
right? You did it without being asked to do it. The husband is not specifically saying to her, you have to go out and work.
Yeah, it's a circumstantial
It's
thing.
circumstantial.
Okay.
And this is why we would come back to Islam is a religion for all times. The laws of Deen are adaptable to every circumstance, to to every situation. It is a guide, a way of life.
Okay, last question to you, Shaykha, before we conclude. What would be some of the other things that you may want to highlight specifically for our women in the community? Because I think, and I'm going to make a generalist statement here, and I stand to be corrected, but I think generally men folk know that it's their role, that they need to provide and stuff. But what are some of the things that you feel that our women folk are not aware of when it comes to their financial rights and obligations in respect of marriage or anything else for that matter?
I think that was a very bold statement. Men might know that it's their responsibility, but from, again, experience, not all men sometimes fulfill their obligation.
Agreed.
Which is what then causes a dispute, in marriages, right? And then we will go back to learn your deen.
Okay.
Understand every relationship, understand every right, understand every obligation, but at the same time, live for the pleasure of Allah. And once we have that down, we won't find ourselves in these difficult situations. Right? We will be able to navigate complexities in life without looking for dotting the I's and crossing the T's. When it comes to a relationship between a husband and wife, it has to be a relationship of compatibility, of harmony, a beautiful relationship of comfort to each other, of mutual respect and understanding. And I feel with both parties, when we hang on to, well, it's not my duty to do this. It's not my duty to take care of your parents. It's not my duty, to... Why can't it be benevolent? Why can't it be compassionate? That is the aim. That is the objective. Our objective on this earth is to live to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Doesn't mean because I don't have to do it, I shouldn't
do it. Exactly.
For the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think let's take that as the parting lesson for us today, is although it may not be your right or your duty or your responsibility, it doesn't mean that you can't do it or shouldn't do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the niyyah of granting or gaining His mercy and gaining His love and gaining His compassion subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until next time, inshallah, we'll see you on our next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.